Former Foreign Secretary William Hague warns of the dangers of a bad settlement as the US and Russia hold high-level talks about the conflict. There is a huge danger that a bad peace deal for Ukraine risks another war, former Foreign Secretary and Tory leader William Hague has warned. Lord Hague made the comments as the US and Russia agreed to lay the groundwork for ending the conflict in Ukraine at a meeting in Saudi Arabia. But Europe and Ukraine were barred from the 4.5-hour talks in Riyadh on Tuesday between US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Lord Hague warned of great danger, saying, "We see it all through history, that the way in which you settle one war can, if you're not careful, lead to a bigger war later, because it leaves both sides with an incentive to go back to fighting." He added, "And so there's a huge danger of this here, that this is the prelude to a wider war in later years. And Trump and his team are not really showing the awareness of that. So that's the biggest worry in this whole thing." Mr. Rubio called the first high-level talks on the conflict since the early months of Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion as the first step of a long and difficult journey. "This needs to be a permanent end to the war and not a temporary end as we've seen in the past," said U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who accompanied Mr. Rubio and U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff to the talks. The practical reality is that there's going to be some discussion of territory and there's going to be discussion of security guarantees. Those are just fundamental basics, Mr. Waltz added, noting that Mr. Trump was determined to move very quickly. The surprise US-Russia meeting came after Mr. Trump called Putin last week in an effort to end the war, without consulting Ukraine or its European allies. The US President and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer are set to meet at the White House in Washington next week, where Ukraine will be a key issue. Britain and Sweden, both NATO members, have said they would consider putting troops on the ground in Ukraine in the event of a peace deal after the US appeared to want to settle the conflict on Putin's terms.